if you break a promise, Satan comes after you.
This sign here, I've been seeing it for years and I still see it to this day. And for a long time, I was always confused as to what this meant. Now, when you do look up information and you hear people talking about this sign, there are people who have different interpretations of what this means. And from my perspective, I always assumed that it meant you were into the devil. This is the devil sign. And within this movie, these characters do throw up this sign and say that we want to sacrifice your children to the devil and praise the devil and all this stuff. And I assume that that's not the case for everybody. I assume that this symbol means many different things to many different people. One of them being that this symbol represents rebellion. Society wants you to conform. It wants you to behave a certain way. And if you do not follow the rules and regulations of the society that you live in, you will be considered an outcast. So I feel most people who showcase this symbol are not devil worshippers. They are just people who are rebelling against the system that tries to conform them. At least that's my opinion. Michael Moynihan and Diedrich Soderlin are the authors of the Lords of Chaos book. I have not read the book, but after watching this movie and then doing my research to present some factual information in this review, I am now intrigued. I think I will take a crack at this book at some point in time. Looking this information up on Wikipedia, the book focuses on the early days of heavy metal, focuses on specific groups, and the subgenre black metal, which leads to the point of discussion, the black metal group called Mayhem. Mayhem is a group that was formed in 1984 and is still active to this day. They've just switched out some band members here and there due to one of them committing suicide and one of them being killed by a fellow band member. The Lords of Chaos movie focuses on the band called Mayhem. The leader of the band is named Euronymous, who is played by Rory Culkin. And Rory Culkin is a fantastic actor. Everything I see this guy in, he always delivers a fantastic performance. The character that he plays in here starts off like a Charles Manson type of character, where he comes up with ideas, he delivers those ideas to his followers. His followers are extreme on those ideas, and then Euronymous, Rory Culkin's character in the movie, takes credit for those decisions that his followers made, and then some of his followers become upset at him, and as the story progresses, you see a transformation within this character. And at the beginning, they throw out these little hints that maybe this character, Euronymous, in this movie isn't who he really thinks he is. As the story progresses, we meet another member of the band named Dead, and Dead is played by Jack Kilmer. The real-life person suffered a lot of issues in their young childhood. What we see in the movie is this guy is just obsessed with death. He wore face paint not to be idolized, but he wore it to just feel dead, and he buried his clothes in the ground and then would dig them up for performances so he could have that fresh smell of death on him. In the movie, they show him killing animals like cats because he hates them. And as dark as some of this stuff is, it also has a bit of humor sprinkled in there.
And he hated cats more than anything.
Hey, there's a cat out there.
For real?
Now, the actual person committed suicide that's a real thing. And it's portrayed in the movie and it's a little funny, but then in real life, that actually happened from what I'm looking up. And so just processing that information, it's just odd. It's like, I'm telling you, the story in here runs so fucking deep. Like, it's overwhelming to me. There is another character of interest in this movie, Varg, who is played by Emery Cohen. Varg is showcased in this movie as a person who at first was a poser or believed to be a poser in the minds of certain individuals. You can see a transformation within him and a sense of jealousy. These three characters are the highlights in this movie. There are other characters in here that come in and out of the movie to me, and I don't really care about them. I'm focused more on the three main characters, Euronymous, Dead, and Varg. Their stories and their conflict are the most interesting parts of the movie for me. This movie's not for the faint of heart. This isn't a movie for people who can't handle death and handle brutality. Just seeing in the movie, seeing these characters and then showcasing them in the way that they do, you could say they're very disturbing people. They're disturbed, they're crazy, they're probably the people that if you're not into this sort of thing, you wouldn't want to hang around these people. But for myself, knowing that there are all different kinds of people in this world, there are so many people from many different walks of life, I'm intrigued. And in witnessing all of this mayhem take place, and then reading up on it, and then knowing that, okay, this stuff is real, this stuff did happen, is just shocking to me. I don't know what the words are, but it held my attention till the very end. And like I also said, there are some moments of comedy sprinkled in here, so you could say this movie has a little bit of dark comedy within the horrified nature of the story being told here. Overall, my verdict for this movie is it's great. This is a great movie because of the performances from the actors that are portraying the real life characters here. The actors deliver an emotional performance that captures the very essence of who these people are. Looking all this information up online, I do believe that these actors had to do a lot of homework just to get into the psyche of the characters they're portraying. The story that is being told is interesting enough to hold my attention that by the end of the movie, I feel a certain way about the events. I feel a certain way about the characters. I'm so emotionally invested in this that just to do this review, I looked up all this information online. And then knowing that what is depicted in the movie is pretty much an accurate account of what actually went down makes me feel that as bizarre as a lot of this shit is, it is intriguing. And it makes me want to read the book to know more information. So saying that, the only negative thing I can say about this movie, there wasn't enough story being told about the characters. Because we see these characters like Euronymous, and we don't know how he got into black metal. And the same thing goes for the Dead character in this movie. The narration describes the character's past, But using that narration, it kind of feels like it's glossing over the character's history and it just jumps into Dead already feeling like he's dead. And it does lead into some disturbing moments that do have black comedy sprinkled in it. But I do wish this movie had a more insightful, in-depth account of the characters and their past. So with all of that being said, there are a lot of great things in this movie. The actors, the director, the makeup, effects artists, the scenes of death and destruction is disturbing to watch, but it's compelling because we're getting into the psyche of these characters and their behavior. There are a lot of great things in this movie, and the only negative aspect of it, I feel, is that there isn't enough backstory into the history of these characters. But other than that, this is a great movie that makes me intrigued to read the book. And that's all I have to say. So as always, thank you for watching, and I will talk to you next time.